Okay, can you hear me actually? Yes? Great. Okay, first of all, thank you and very warm welcome. I'm here today to share with you my story. Just before I do that, I want to share a fact with you. 90% of adults have at least one major regret in their life. At least one major regret. I think we can all share that. We may have more. Today I'm going to share with you a model that I've created and followed for the last 5 years. And lots of what I'm going to cover today is the first time I'm sharing it with complete strangers. A lot of it's just been with me and my close family. So, transformation and me. Just a bit about me before I begin. I'm currently a senior lecturer in management and I teach some fantastic people. Not only do I teach them, they also teach me as well. One thing I've learned, organizations, nationally, internationally, constantly evolving and changing. They're having to change all the time. And that's because of external and internal factors. These could be things like competition, market changes, government pressures. The same idea I've applied to myself. Think about moments in your life, ladies and gentlemen, where you've been challenged and you've had to do things differently. Were you prepared for those challenges? What did you do? When I'm not teaching, I'm also, during the night, a volunteer police inspector. So I manage and lead 25 volunteer police officers in the West Midlands, and I'm very proud and honoured to do that. The person I am today is because of the journey that I've been on. I'm not a completed product yet, but I want to share with you some of the highlights along the way. One of my biggest highlights is this little man. That's Arjun. Arjun is 1 year old. We just celebrated his first birthday over Christmas. Arjun is somebody who came into our lives and completely changed my life, completely. And parents in the room will know what I'm talking about, and grandparents too. Before Arjun came, I had a life of freedom. I could go out when I wanted, I could go to parties, I could go to restaurants, I could come home when I wanted. The moment the nurse handed me this beautiful boy, I realized that's all about to change. Suddenly, responsibility was thrust upon me. And that's when I realized I was not prepared for this moment in my life. I mentally and physically was not prepared for the journey that was about to begin. And that's with the responsibility of being a father. So with that in mind, what I did was I created a change model. Now this change model is a model that first looked at organizations and how they change, but I realized actually those key elements we can apply to ourselves. And I want to share that story with you today. You are my first audience who I'm going to share this with. There's 6 key components. The first one. When I was at school, like many of us, our teachers would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? What job do you want to do? What type of life do you want to have? And we had an image when we were young. That could have been an astronaut or a sportsman. That could have been a gardener for some, florist for others. Something for a lot of people has changed along the way. They've lost clarity, vision. What has changed for you? As you sit there today, do you feel you have fulfilled everything you wanted to do? Are there still things yet for you to do? And you've lost your way a little bit. Clarity, regain that focus. Identify what was at the heart of what you wanted to do, whether it's a job, or whether it's something personal to you, whether it's something professional as well. And bring that back to you. Re-clarify what is it you want to do. What is your purpose, your drive? The second one is communication. Ladies and gents, I want to share, how many people in the room have got one of these? And what would happen if your phone disappeared? How would you feel? I can hear the sigh in the room. Exactly. If we cannot live without our phones. The way we communicate with each other has changed. I teach students who no longer want to talk to each other, but they much prefer to take photos of each other and put it on Snapchat and Instagram. We no longer want to share the spoken word. Instead, we want to just share virtually. Every day, on average, I gain 60 to 80 emails a day. And I guarantee 50% of them can be reduced only if the person got off their chair and came and saw me on that day. How many times have you emailed somebody that's sitting right next to you? I've done it, and I can admit that. How many people have you emailed where you thought, if I just had a quick conversation, that would save this long email trail? Self-transformation. Change the way you communicate with others. Do you use technology as your form of communication? Go and see them. Let's go back to the more traditional ways of communicating. The third model is commitment. How many people in the room have just gone through Christmas and New Year and then joined a gym? How many people will still be going to the gym in February? Maybe March, maybe even April. This element here regards actually your commitment to see your purpose through. The commitment to see your objectives through. So if you've joined a gym, what's stopping you from going to the gym? What's stopping you from transforming yourself, whether it's physically or mentally or emotionally? Life always throws us challenges. We just get busier at our work, family gets more busier, but we have to continue to make time for ourselves. Commit to yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Consistency. This is a very personal image for me, actually. I used to weigh 18 stone 5 years ago. 18 stone. I can see the face, people can't believe that. I take that as a compliment, thank you very much. But here's a picture. Oh man, exactly, wow, wow. 18 stone there. I'm about 13 now. This is the first time I'm showing this picture to anybody outside my family. And I want to share with you my story of how I went from that to this. When I was going through this transition, I never entered the gym once. More so because I was embarrassed, another because I didn't know what I was doing. But I never entered a gym. I never ate any more healthier. I didn't run any further or walk any faster. One thing I changed was my mindset. I completely changed the way I saw the world. If you met me then, I was possibly very negative. I was very embarrassed about life. I was ashamed. I used to just wear black and blue because I could hide all of my flab. And I went through a journey. I realized, and the moment I realized is when I got out of bed and I could feel my heart beating. And I was thinking, if I don't do something now, my life today will be completely different. So the journey I went on involved consistency. There was days that were really good, and I had fantastic support from my loved ones. But equally, there were days which were very, very difficult. And for me, those difficult days are the most challenging. They're the ones that most test you in your perseverance. Show consistency and will. Whatever you want to do, you are going to have some bad days. You're going to feel like giving up. No. There was times I drove past McDonald's and thought, nobody would know. If I just go through drive-through quickly, nobody would know, only me. Willpower. Show consistency in your cause. The fifth element, between 1600 to 1800, in the US and in Europe, there was something called the doctor's plague. The doctor's plague was 20 to 25% of women who were giving birth would die. In some hospitals, that was high as 70 to 75%. of women who went into labour to give birth, the mothers would die. It's called the doctor's plague. Why? A Dr. Holmes, fitting name, Dr. Holmes came in and he investigated and found that the doctors who were delivering the babies were also doing the autopsies in the morning. And we needed to find out. Science was progressing very quickly, and rightly so. We want to do autopsies. We want to find out why so many women were dying whilst giving birth. So doctors across Europe and the US were going in and conducting autopsies in the morning. They would then go in the afternoon and deliver the babies. They delivered the babies only when Dr. Holmes realized they were still doing the autopsies with a pair of gloves, and they would not change the gloves and then deliver babies in the afternoon. They were using the same gloves as they used during the autopsy. So my fifth element is conflict. Sometimes you are the one who's causing some of the issues around you. Sometimes you are the doctor in that scenario. So it was the doctors themselves who were causing the doctor's plague, because they just simply did not change their gloves. So think about your personal lives, ladies and gents. Do you find there's a lot of conflict around you? Do you feel conflict with others, whether it's in a professional or a personal environment? Maybe a moment you just need to stop and think, am I causing that conflict with others? It's an honest conversation to have with yourself. When I was that 18-stone chap, and my family will vouch for this, I was quite confrontational. And that was only because I knew it was to defend how I felt at the time. And that's something I realized through reflection. So that's worth thinking about for yourselves as well. The final one, it's consolidation. So for me, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've treated people really badly. And I know that. I currently, with pressures of being a dad, sleepless nights, I've only slept 3 hours last night because of my little one, and you do feel the frustrations. Sometimes you will make mistakes. It's fine to make mistakes and learn from them. Consultation for me, the last bit is consult yourself. Mistakes will be made. You need to heal, self-heal, so you can move on. I had to do a lot of self-healing when I went through my physical change from 18 stone to today. And I still do that as I keep moving on. So this model is a great model for us not to just do once, but to keep doing again and again. So when there's a new job opportunity or a new family member joining you, or you've got conflict at home or at work, just think about this model and just take a moment to just stop and reflect. Is it you or is it others? And what can you do differently? So that is my 6-stage self-transformational model. Thank you all very much.